Okay. This is going to Hearst Castle. That way is going to Hearst Castle. That way is going that way. See, it's foggy.
Just keep this on all day.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Ayan, 28 ticket. It's a nice view though, coming up. 15 minutes next view. The drive? No.
Excuse me.
Sometimes harapan, left or right? Going up.
Wristbands right before boarding. Bottled water only. Please no food or gum, and have a great time.
Thank
Hi
you.
there. Get my glasses on so I could see something.
Bottled water. Is this okay?
Yeah, bottled water's great.
Okay.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good afternoon. It's going fast.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, 206.
Mauna ako sa harapan. Sa harap, syempre.
Left or right?
Left, and right.
Where?
Left, and right.
So where?
Here.
Yeah, you're in the window. Oh, doon ka!
No, ayaw niya kasi hindi makita sa driver.
Ah, dito doon kaming dalawa. It's okay.
Doon ka.
Okay.
15 minutes up to the hilltop. While I'm driving, we have Alex Trebek, our favorite game host from Jeopardy. He's going to talk to you.
Oh.
Okay? He's got some important things to say. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. We want to take some pictures of the zebras that are off to the right.
Zebras.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hearst Castle. I would like to welcome you to Hearst San Simeon State Historical Monument, better known as Hearst Castle. The road you are traveling is the same one the art collector and newspaper publisher William Randolph Hearst traveled when he began building this estate with his architect Julia Morgan in 1919. They worked on this project for 28 years. We will pass a large Spanish-style house built in the 1930s as the poultry ranch manager's residence. It is still used by Hearst ranch employees today. To this place as the ranch at San Simeon, even though in later years he gave it a formal name, La Cuesta Encantada, the enchanted hill. His hilltop estate became one of the most glamorous country houses in America. It was also Mr. Hearst's primary residence on the West Coast, and a place to showcase a stunning collection of Mediterranean art objects, shown against the backdrop of California's beauty and traveled the same road as the castle in the 1920s and 30s. But imagine Mr. Hearst first as young Willie, the boy following his father along the winding bridle path that would become this road, climbing on horseback 1,600 feet, 488 meters, to a hilltop that was often sunny when the fog shrouded the coast during the summertime. Later in life, Mr. Hearst said that the road was so steep and the way so managed by hanging on to the tail of my pony. George Hearst knew California's landscape well, having traveled west as a miner from Missouri in the 1850s looking for gold. The geology that caused these steep hills to rise from the ocean floor millions of years ago was the same factor that brought precious minerals like gold, silver, and copper closer to the Earth's surface, allowing them to wash down the high mountain creeks of the West. Though thousands came west looking for easy riches during the gold rush, few succeeded. George Hearst was a skilled miner and geologist and became one of America's richest men with investments in Comstock silver, Everton copper, and Homestay gold mines. But he never wanted to take this region. George Hearst bought the land of San Simeon in 1865 as a cattle and horse ranch. He had married Phoebe Anderson Hearst in 1862, and their only child Willie was born in 1863. All three Hearsts grew to love this ranch, and they added to it until it eventually totaled over 250,000 acres, or more than 100,000 square hectares. You will also see open-fronted shelters made of logs that were built for animals in Mr. Hearst's zoo. His love of animals drove him to create the largest private zoo in America, filled with exotic animals all over the world. You may see herds of tawny animals that resemble mountain goats. They are known as audads and are descendants from Mr. Hearst's original herd, still roaming these hills and mingling with the cattle. Originally, this land was home to Native Americans of the Chumash and Salinan peoples, who lived there for over 9,000 years. It was claimed by Spain after 1769, and then settled by California cattle ranchers during a brief period of Mexican ownership. California joined the United States in 1850, soon after gold was discovered. George Hearst bought 3 ranchos and continued to run cattle in the hilly expanses above the Pacific. And 150 years later, this is still a family cattle ranch. The Hearst Corporation runs over 2,000 head of grass-fed beef on these hills today, largely black and red Angus. Cattle graze much as they always have, and depending on the season, you may see them along the hillsides.
Beautiful. Look at that.
William Randolph Hearst was 56 in 1919. His mother Phoebe died, his father having passed away earlier. William inherited this land he had loved nearly all his life, and immediately hired a talented and singular architect, Julia Morgan, whose firm was located in San Francisco.
Oh, sure.
What are these?
These are called Barbary sheep or audads.
Where?
Hearst was overheard walking into Miss Morgan's office and announcing he was tired of camping in tents. I'm getting a little old for that. I'm thinking of building a little something. Well, his little something became this estate of more than 165 rooms. And he chose to build it on the hill which had served as his family's original campsite. Julia Morgan's first challenges were to make a road from the old bridle path and and also to bring water from the natural springs that were located on a mountain almost 6 miles east of this hilltop. To this day, water provided to the estate comes from the same 1.5 million gallon reservoir built by Miss Morgan and Mr. Hearst in the 1930s. Some of it is stored in tanks atop the castle's bell towers. You may also glimpse a 16 million gallon reservoir recently built by the Hearst Corporation to provide water for the current family ranch operation.
Another
The
river down
Mediterranean
there.
climate of this region brings hot, dry summers and cool, wet winters, a perfect setting for the native oak trees known as coastal limos, or Quercus acnifolia. These are the large trees we pass, which have spreading long branches, small dark green leaves, and rough brown bark. Mr. Hearst and Miss Morgan designed the road to wind around the trees, some of which are more than 300 years old. On the hilltop, they sited the buildings around the oaks, and occasionally even moved a massive oak out of the way as the castle grew. You'll notice the hillsides are also covered with grasses. With the winter rains, these grasses turn a rich green. In the summer and fall, they change color to a golden brown. Mr. Hearst filled these pastures with his exotic zoo animals. In his day, guests traveling this road would have passed by antelopes, yaks, giraffes, llamas, water buffalo, bison, and more than 100 other species. Most are gone now, but in addition to the audads, today you might see sambar deer and Roosevelt elk mingled with the cattle. Keep watching. You may also glimpse some animals native to the area, including deer, foxes, and coyotes, as well as the large black birds that soar through the skies, known as turkey vultures. The views of the coastline can be quite spectacular on clear days. So too are the views of the twin-towered structure Hearst and Julia Morgan called Casa Grande, which means big house in Spanish, now commonly referred to as the castle. The road was designed so the castle would appear and disappear as you climb higher. Reaching the top of the knoll, we will travel through a landscaped area filled with fruit trees, which supplied some of the food in Hearst's time at the ranch. He grew nearly all his food on site, including beef, poultry, dairy products, and fruits and vegetables. You may also see on the left the remains of a columned arbor known as the pergola. It was a path for walking or riding through on horseback. Its columns were planted with fruit trees, apples, quince, plums, cherries, peaches, and apricots, among others, and it was canopied with grapes. At over a mile in length, it was laughingly referred to by Julia Morgan as the longest pergola in captivity. As we near the hilltop, your walking tour is about to begin. We ask for your help again in preserving this remarkable estate. While on tour, please touch only the handrails of concrete and black iron, and avoid touching or leaning against any other objects. When inside the buildings, please remain on the tour carpeting. Flash photography is allowed outdoors only. Please turn off your flash when you go inside the buildings. Your tour will take a one-way route over the hilltop without doubling back, so be sure to take your photographs when you see them. Photography for personal use is very much encouraged, but written permission must be obtained for publication. Please turn off your cell phones or put them on mute. Bottled water is allowed, but no other food or drink. Chewing gum must be disposed of in the trash containers as you leave the bus. We request that you stay with your group at all times. Ask your guides if you need any assistance. And now we invite you to imagine what it would have been like to visit this glamorous estate in Mr. Hearst's time. For him, it was always the enchanted hill. Get ready for your enchantment to begin.
fruits looks like I want to get a bag.
Okay, that's the best spot, and that's what I highlighted.
And I like the,
Oh well.
Work is always going to be in front of you or above you as you come on in. Okay, Philippines, very nice. Well, over 50 million people have visited Hearst Castle. So here in the next 1 hour, I will be your tour guide and leading the front. My name is Chris Milligar. I'm from Jersey. And now leading the rear, weighing in at 100 and something pounds is Peter. The first state park. Close. Yosemite and Mariposa. And this is the year that we're going to start talking about this land. George Hearst is the filthy rich miner who bought this land. So at the end of this tour, guys, check out the visitor center. It shows you the highlights of William Randolph Hearst's career. And the next Our first stop is on the West Terrace. So if you look over the balustrade, you see 30 orange trees. So that grove of orange trees would have extended towards that bus drop-off. So for 28 years, things get built, they get demolished, and then they get built again. So in the distance, can you see Piedras Blancas Lighthouse in the marine fog? We're about 6 guys home. Started to be built in 1920. Now, Mr. Hearst's mom passes away in 1919. And that's the year that he inherits all of her land, real estate, artwork. She was a cultured woman, and she would use her money to fund exploration of Egyptian or schools for women to pursue education in UC Berkeley. So that's where we understand Phoebe would meet Julia Morgan. Now here, do you see the third floor, the tower? The artwork is always going to be surrounding you, so is in detail. Do you see the 8-pointed stars on the balcony screen on the tower? This is a 3-story building at 3,600 square feet. So do you see the artwork in front of it? Do you see the artwork that you're standing next to? So for 28 years, Mr. Hearst and Miss Morgan are trying to figure out a design precedent, and things don't get complete. So that Discobolus statue perhaps would have been capping a water fountain feature where you see this octagon. On the far side, you see the lady with wings? She's got a clipped wing. It's the goddess, or the winged victory goddess known as Nike, or Nike. The design coming from? Well, the grand staircase that you see surrounding it, the mosaic tile basin, the water fountain, the eaves that are colorful in tile, the loggia, the balcony. Spanish books are being used, and Miss Morgan is here directing tile laborers, construction workers. So what you see is a steel reinforced building. It has 8 bedrooms, 8 baths. And it was completed with 2 floors. And so that 3rd floor, that private bedroom and that private bathroom in both of the sides were built after. So can you imagine having to construct a tower on top of a roof? And how do they get on in? They convert a closet into a spiraling staircase to access the other parts of that space. So here, Miss Morgan is constantly pulling out her gray hairs, trying to figure out what Mr. Hearst wants. So this terrace used to end right here. And then it got wider and bigger, just like the Neptune pool. So things here for 28 years would go on and off, and never to be complete because Hearst runs out of money. Can you believe you can't buy time? Well, if you have any questions, right now is the time to ask. If you are interested in more and want to engage with me, let's chit chat as we make our way to the Neptune pool.
Right, okay, there, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
It's better up here.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a better view up here. You'll see. You'll see.
Build up here by the architect, to ask the architect to build up here because this is where he would grow up. This is his childhood land. So the Cuesta Encantada is one of the first hills of the Santa Lucia mountain range. So where is all this fresh water coming from? 4 to 5 miles east. Please take the time to we're zooming in the distance. The Santa Lucia mountain range, the farthest mountain that you can see in the distance is over 35 miles north. If you take a camelback, that's where the property boundary ended in 1940. So from Cambria, 40 miles of coastline to Monterey, and 35 miles that way, and about 20 miles to property. So if you were a guest being invited on over, you might stay in Casa del Monte. It's only 4 bedrooms and 4 baths.
Okay.
You might go
good.
swimming. How many of you would like to go horseback riding? So for those that would like to saddle up, you would imagine going out
Auntie,
into the
watch your back.
distance for the next 8 hours and then come back with a sore saddle. And your social obligations are the following. Please attend. That they are created. All of these gardens are installed by 1922 when Casa You'll also be wondering, who are the ladies? Zeus had daughters. Has anybody seen this statue before? Let me introduce you to her. Please, come on over here, because you have to see the detail. If you cannot see the head on this statue, it has a round disc. These two seated figures are missing the round hip. Segment is the daughter of the sun god Ra, the giver and taker of life. So do you see how the seated figure has her fist closed, holding it on? And the other hand is open, the giver and taker of life. Said to come from Luxor, Egypt. 4 of these are bought in auctions from 1924. And this water fountain feature is designed by Miss Morgan by 1932. It's made of diorite, head of a lion, body of a woman with that pink feldspar vein. So as you would pass this statue, keeping an eye on the south gate, you would then be arriving to the main house for the cocktail hour, a little game of ping pong. So please follow me on up. Water fountain is up here, marble benches for you to take a seat. Communicating in thousands of written letters. So he has the vision, and she's listening to the details. To the left and the right of the Spanish wildman, do you see a relief? St. Peter holds the key to heaven, and St. Paul holds the sword of martyrdom. Above the entryways, do you see a Duke of Burgundy? The Duke of Burgundy is a horse and rider. That's a capstone copy. The original one was a living space, 137 feet long. Now, Mr. Hearst asked the architect how he would start in that tower on the 3rd floor. And a hopper. And so the news is out. Mr. Hearst is married. Yes. He's separated. Yes. And he has a girlfriend. And she's hosting him. So imagine you guys are the celebrities, and you're hanging out with friends. You come on in through the side, and it's cocktail hour. We might be playing some dance music, playing the piano. Can anyone sing for me? We're going to need some evening entertainment. So please follow me into the side.
Side entrance. There's another one there. And here.
Buenas tardes. Ay, quiero pasar a Con permiso.
Oh.
Buenos días.
Married 16 times. In this room, there were 4 weddings. Mr. Hearst has over 70 descendants. The lady, the granddaughter,
Yeah.
Mr. Hearst, and sister
Thank you.
holding down the magazines like Cosmopolitan. By 1924 and 1927, this assembly room is completed the way you see it. The tapestries highlight the scenes of Scipio Africanus, who's wearing a blue cape and gold stars, defeating Hannibal at the Second Punic Wars. Artwork. Please tell me something here you like that you want to see in your home. Any questions about things that you see? Because I go on and on, yada yada yada. Is this all teak wood? This is teak wood, walnut wood. Choir stones that you see behind me and behind you are not all the same. Italian choir stalls from Italy. And then if you look more close at some of the arm bars that are designed by Gomez, they were created on site, 1920. So there are construction workers that would say they spent more time making you wood look old. So the ceiling above you, there's 5 to 7 panels that are Italian walnut wood. The way you can tell it's walnut wood, do you see the Jupiter god here holding the staff? He's got a crack down his chest. Now, down the center, you might see Neptune holding the trident on that far side.
In the middle.
So in between the ceiling panels is cast plaster, made to look like wood. And it's 24 feet high. They're being suspended from concrete rafters, something like sisal, and cast plaster around that. So in 1921, Mr. Hearst writes to Miss Morgan and he says, I bought the mantle. It really is a wonderful one. This and the tapestries will make any room. I know you will build a hall to receive it. This fireplace is from the 16th century, coming from Burgundy, France. Do you see the wild men on the center of the mantle holding clubs? And the shield is an estuan. Do you see the shield has red and blue? Do you see the belly button of the wild man on this side is brown? This whole stone fireplace had color. It had gild. So if you look carefully, you can see a little bit of the gold falling off. Let me show you an example. The columns, those Spanish wood columns that are supporting the lintel, those are wood. You can see cracking and you can see the gold leaf peeling off. But the piece above it, the lintel, does anybody read Latin here? Well, more designs taken from Spanish rules. And Mr. Hearst is asking for detail. I want this. And that Latin apparently says, let this altar, the sacred altar, is dedicated to the Virgin St. Gregory and Joseph. Do you feel like you're in a church? You see religious art? Well, understand that Hearst is collecting religious art that was created during the Renaissance time period, the rebirth and revival of art, philosophy, and religion. So Hearst is saving, buying art on the auction market. So anything that you see that looks like gold is gold leaf. If you asking yourself, is this man religious? Well, he would be asked that in 1947, and his response, I'm Christian of non-denomination. Collecting art to preserve it. You guys got a question on something that you see? Yes, sir.
Part of life inside there,
These lights are not turned on now since they are the closest to the tapestry. As you can feel, this fan, there's no air conditioning. Humidity is very important, so they need to keep the lights off near the tapestry. There's over 300 light bulbs, and these drop-down pendants designed by this cast plastic. As you come on into the dining hall, imagine seeing your name, the menu, and tonight's movie.
I think when we had the tour here.
Now, as you come on into the dining hall, if you're getting a look out, notice that these figures are also wood. Notice the figures are saints. The one in this corner, above you, here, above the yellow and gray flag, is saint. With the fruit is fake, but you can imagine fruit galore here for the picking breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Okay, so these tapestries are said to be made from the Brussels area, and in the 16th century, this highlights, as well as that one, a lot of the biblical scene of King Nebuchadnezzar. So the king is wearing the crown and the scepter, Jesus is holding the ceremonial mace, and official magistrate here in the pulpit. So as things are unfolding,
Oh, so they have Heinz before?
Do you know the first time Heinz ketchup was displayed to the public?
I don't know.
It was the 1876 Centennial Exhibition in Philadelphia.
1876. When was this built?
This was all built in 1927. This was
Oh,
complete
okay.
in 1927.
Oh, okay. Huh, that's surprising, huh? Whose scepter is that?
It's nobody's. It was a gift.
Oh, it was a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fireplace. I haven't told you there are 115 rooms. That includes 38 bedrooms, 41 bathrooms, 10 sitting rooms, 30 fireplaces. It happens all the time. That's why I'm very proud. Come on in. The detail is above the arches, Persian tiles. As you make your way forward, the detail is also in the ceiling panels. Yes, I'm gonna bring that heater up. I can never not talk about the heater. Because here, as you make your way on in, you can imagine in the wintertime, it's cold. Some folks from Europe this summer came on through and were saying, I've been to castles all through Europe. You know these electric coil heaters? Has anybody seen this invention here? This appliance? They put out a lot of energy, so this room is completed by 1933. These electric coil vents still work today. This is where you want to warm up your buns in the wintertime. Now here, let's have some fun. You know how to play that game? Neither do I. Let's play this one. Let's turn the radio on. Anybody? Some jazz? This is a 1932 Tombstone radio. Have you seen anything like this? Grandma
Tombstone
ever had
radio?
that? 5 stations. Hearst eventually starts investing in radio stations in the late 30s. And so imagine the radio's on, we're playing some pool. That one's known as French Carom Billy. So, it is the most beautiful ceiling. Do you see horseback riding and jousting and bear baiting? This ceiling, also 500 plus years old from Spain, and the craftsmen on site add modifications. So in the corners, you might see some artwork of a woman's face. The conservation artist that was using that scaffolding in that room had used it in this room for 10 years. And so I asked him, did you work on that lady's face? And he said, no. Craftsmen did it in the 1930s. So that's what's going on. Talented people are here building. And Miss Morgan has the theater built by 1930. And that's where we will go in to see these characters that were larger than life. Question?
Zero.
Now, this is the largest room in the 58,000 square foot Hearst Castle. 2,500 square feet. The theater has your silk red embroidered fabric with these 14 of these full-bodied women known as caryatids. Sometime in the 400 BC, when the Persians invade the island of Parai in Greece, there are Greek women that start to help the Persians, and the Greek men did not like that. So they were turned into slaves forever to be supporting the temple. So when you go to Greece, you'll see some caryatids. But these are made and designed by Julia Morgan, utilized in one of her college examinations. They look like wood, but they're cast plaster, painted polychrome. There's 50 chairs in front of us, vintage chairs with your blankets, a phone in the front. 50 chairs would have been spread out a little bit more here. Guests, if they were not seated, house staff and construction workers could watch a movie, but they only a lady named by Marie Dressler who was receiving an award. She actually is a Canadian film star, actress, and she does receive an Academy Award. Cute married ladies, blonde bob cut, coming in hot in that Argyle sweater. She's a natural born comedian. Before the likes of Lucille Ball, this gal was doing improvisations, hanging out with that international man of mystery. So these two Hollywood stars are silent film stars. And this theater is wired for sound, but the movies don't have sound until 1929. Jimmy Walker is a New York mayor on the right, and Paul Block, a Pittsburgh publisher, on the left. Hedda Hopper is the gossip columnist on the left. She's wearing a purple dress. She would write, a visit to the Hearst Ranch is like a ticket to Never Never Land. Never have you seen such a place, and never will you see its likes again. That guy on the right of her is A.P. Giannini, the owner of the Bank of Italy. John Gilbert and his wife, Claire Windsor on the left, and Dolores Del Rio, a Mexican-American film actress. Charlie's playing tennis on the tennis courts behind this theater. We'll see next. This is American Wimbledon champion Bill Tilden. The Pantages twins, the guy and the girl on the left, and Carol Lombard on the right. The Hearst is a big fan of playing tennis, and once again, horseback riding. These are the young studs that are going to come back a little hurt in the evening. So that was Buddy Rogers and his first wife, Claire Windsor. This is Mr. Hearst in his cowboy outfit. California man, here, wearing his Stetson hat, hanging out at the ranch. And let me tell you, at the ranch, he wants the architect to create the largest private zoo in America. Cue Julia Morgan. Standing at 5 foot, bucket hat, white French blouse, tweed coat. I think she's standing on a box. Mr. Hearst is over 6'3". She would say, let the buildings be my legacy and speak for me. So here, she designs bear grottos and hires a zookeeper named Carrie Baldwin. Carrie Baldwin says, what are we going to feed the mountain lion cubs? We have a quarter cow going towards the feeding zone. Wouldn't you want to enjoy that, hanging out? But before we get to the carnivore zone, carnivore, we have to pass by the grazing animals. So the animals still have the right of way today. Is it a kangaroo? Or is it a wallaby, mate? Now, today, what animals you might see are the zebras, definitely, but no more white fallow-tailed deer. You can see the elk about 20 miles north off of Highway 1. They hang out. The bison no longer here. These guys are still stampeding the Barbary sheep, and their kids are adorable. The impalas are no longer here, but the zebras are still kicking. According to the Hearst son. Father and son, the second oldest wouldn't allow them to be released from their zoo enclosures in the late 30s. And that's why we had over 150 zebras in San Simeon. Here is the chief, the newspaper publisher, tycoon, who changed the newspaper game as we know it today. In 1935, he had 35,000 employees, and the Hearst Corporation is a private doing well in New York City. So thankfully, Ms. Morgan had left this building for us to show and to see. But we have to go to the pool for a midnight dip. So please, watch your stuff as you exit. Be aware you might need to duck.
Oh, watch your steps.
This is Mike, right? And you're Peter.
Yeah, he's Chris.
Oh, Chris.
There was a warehouse here, and then I'll move. And then the recreation.
Where are you going?
The state park added this access road.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool pool.
Nice.
The
Wow. Look at that. No, up. Like that, up. Okay, that's right.
Right there.
Okay. Looks like Roman brothel.
Come on, for you. All of us. Come on, huh? Yeah. Yes. There. One more. Maybe. Okay.
Okay. Ooh, it's done.
You're welcome. Take care. Thank you.
Leaving the hilltop puts us back onto the Hearst Ranch. We're traveling on the downside of this one-way road, which was divided into two parts in Mr. Hearst's time to minimize the possibility of collisions and to provide more access to the stunning views. On our descent, we will be looking north and east out to the distant mountains known as the Santa Lucia Coast Range, which runs parallel to the Pacific Ocean along the central region of California. To your left, you will again see the remnants of the pergola, the columned arbor for walking and horseback riding. It is easier to see on the way down. Also pass the animal enclosures used in Mr. Hearst's time for the polar bears. They were given ice on warm days and used their pool to swim in and keep cool. These animal pens were modeled after those in German zoos and were very advanced for their time. In the late 1930s, when Mr. Hearst began to experience financial difficulties, many of his zoo animals were donated to California zoos, including in San Diego and San Francisco. The descendants of his zoo which cause the most excitement today are the zebras, which you may see as you travel south on the east side of Highway 1, mingling with the Hearst cattle. They often graze near the San Simeon campground on the east side of the highway. More of the estate, consider viewing the film Building the Dream on our giant 5-story screen at the Hearst Castle Theater. Showtimes are every 45 minutes all day long through the double doors across from the fountain at the visitor center. This 40-minute film depicts scenes through Hearst's childhood, his travels through Europe with his mother, the construction of the Hilltop Estate, and Hearst's architectural collaboration with Julia Morgan. Also available at select times of the year is the evening tour. The castle takes on a whole new atmosphere. Go back in time to the golden age of the estate and experience what it must have been like to be a guest of Mr. Hearst. You'll be surrounded by other guests in 1930s attire, enjoying the rooms. There are many ways to feel the romance and magic of this incomparable estate. Check our website for specific tour times and details. Stop by the gift shop and also to view the free exhibits, which will give you an expanded appreciation of the estate. If you get a hankering to try the Hearst Ranch beef or other products, they are available for shipment and sale at the kiosk at the visitor center, as well as being served in the restaurant. Which is still in operation, having been in continuous use since 1874. Tours of the lighthouse are available. Just south of the lighthouse is a cove that during many times of the year is filled with elephant seals. These massive ocean mammals rest on viewing stations located off the highway. If you'd like to learn more about the region, you can visit the Coastal Discovery Center at San Simeon Bay, located across Highway 1 from the castle entrance at William Randolph Hearst Memorial State Beach. Learn about the animals that live in this portion of Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. There are also many opportunities to enjoy the unspoiled coastline in both directions when you reach Highway 1. Walk out on the pier and imagine the area as a former whaling station and a center for shipping and commerce in the late 19th century. Stroll through the surviving little village of San Simeon, which is across the highway from the castle. It was a bustling commercial city in the mid-19th century, then a residence for Hearst employees in the years after George Hearst bought the land in 1865, then an estate village that housed castle workers in the years after 1919. Its one-room schoolhouse still survives, as does a store dating from 1852, and several of the warehouses, the oldest of which dates clear back to 1878. Though there were many plans after Hearst's death to build a large resort area along Highway 1, the Hearst Corporation in 2005 concluded a landmark conservation easement that set aside 82,000 acres of land for its original use, family ranching, and protected the rest. 13 miles of coastline were donated by the Hearst Corporation to California State Parks, meaning that the land will always look as it did in Hearst's headquarters.
The castle, author of books on the castle's art and landscape. And I would like to invite you to join Friends of Hearst Castle, the non-profit group that helps preserve this special place for future generations. It can be more called San Simeon, a museum of architecture. Mr. Hearst said he was building a museum for everyone to enjoy. You can help keep them going by making a donation to Friends of Hearst Castle. We have two important missions to preserve the precious art collections to reform and to ensure that through education we continue to bring this earth into matchless place. When you become a member or make a one-time donation in the boxes for the night that you will see at the Visitor Center, you contribute to maintaining Hearst's and Morgan's ongoing community. Thanks to you, school children visit the castle and see things they never imagined. Conservators will work for painstaking and to leave here ready to pursue your own dreams, taking inspiration from the many creative people who brought this place to life.
I couldn't have said it any better. Please come back and visit us soon. And on behalf of California State Parks, we thank you.
That was a nice tour. I like it. Alex. Yeah, it's 4.